Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at how we solve equations in matrices, and we're going to be using the inverse that we learned from the previous video. So here's just why it works. So for instance, I'm trying to find matrix A. Okay, so that means I've got to eliminate matrix, I'm going to try to find matrix X, so I have to eliminate matrix A. Now if I put the inverse alongside A, we've learned that that equals the identity matrix, and then the identity matrix times X will just be X. So what we're trying to do is we eliminate A by finding the inverse, and then we'll have the answer to X. But if you note the position in the first one, to eliminate A, I've got to put the inverse alongside it, and the inverse will go out the front of it because there's no space between the A and the X. In the second one, I'm going to try to find A, which means I've got to eliminate X. So to eliminate X, I put the inverse alongside it, and I can't put it in between, I put it at the back. And I've put the inverse at the back on the left, I have to put the inverse at the back on the right. And then X minus 1 turns into I, and then once you've got I, then you've got A. And then you just have to do that calculation, and you'll have the answer to the matrix that you're trying to find. So basically what you're trying to do, if you're trying to eliminate a matrix at the front, then you put the inverse at the front. If you're trying to eliminate the matrix at the back, you put the inverse at the back. Okay? So copy that, and we'll do some examples on the next two slides. Okay, so first of all, you don't have to do this, but basically you're just trying to prove that the answer for X is not a 2 by 2. So for these two matrices to multiply, there's numbers in the brackets, okay? Excuse me. So, oh sorry, turn to pen. So this number has to match that number, so that means that's a 2. And then when I look at the answer has to be the outside numbers, and the outside numbers are a 2 and a 1. So what we're saying is that the answer for X is a 2 by 1 matrix. So we know at least what we're looking for. We're not looking for a 2 by 2, we're looking for a 2 by 1. But this is what you do. The answer to X, now, we have to put the inverse there, but we don't actually have to do it because we know that when we put the inverse there, it's going to turn into I. So I don't need to show that. All I'm going to do is I'm putting the inverse out the front. So the inverse of this matrix is 1 over 5 minus 6. Then I do my switch of my leading diagonal. Then I change the signs on the alternate diagonal. And then I just multiply by the answer on the other side. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the inverse at the front. So I'm going to put the inverse out the front of 1, 3. So then what we do is 5 minus 6 is minus 1. So we got minus 1. And then I do my calculation. Okay, I'll just change pens. So first row by first column, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 minus 6 is minus 5. And then second row by first column, minus 3 minus 15. Minus 3 plus 15, beg your pardon. So minus 3 plus 15 is plus 12. And then just bring the minus sign in, because that's just a number. So X is equal to 5 minus 12. And if you wanted to, you could put 5 minus 12 there and just check that it multiplies to 1 and 3. We'll just do the first one to prove it does. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 24 is 1. I'll do the second one because we're there. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 minus 12 is 3. So the answer does work. Let's have a look at another example. Okay, so this time, again, you don't have to do it, but I'm just trying to prove that we know what our answers are going to be in terms of the matrix. So if these matrices are going to multiply, then the answer has to be the same on the middle. And then looking at these numbers, they're the outsides. So that means that matrix X must be a 2 by 2 answer. Okay, it's just, you don't have to, but it makes sense to do it. Okay, so I'm killing the matrix at the back. So I've got to put the inverse at the back, which means I put the inverse at the back. And I don't have to put the inverse on the left-hand side because I know it's going to multiply to give I. So let's just go straight to the answer. So matrix X will be this answer, 5 minus 1, 0, 3, multiplied by the inverse at the back. So we do multiply by 1 over 3 minus 2. So that's going to be a plus. And then I do my switch. So 3, 1 turns into 1, 3. Minus 1, 2 turns into 1, minus 2. Now, this number here can come out the front. So that's going to be 1 over 5. And then we do our multiply. So we're going to do first row by first column to start with. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. Okay, next one. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 minus 3 is 2. 0 times 1 is 0. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. 0 times 1 is 0. 3 3s are 9. And because 5 doesn't go into those answers, we just leave it as that answer. We don't change it. Okay, we don't need to write anything else. Okay, it's a positive fraction, so we don't change it. If it was a negative fraction, you could bring the negative inside, but you don't need to. And that's how you use inverses to solve equations. And you'll have plenty of practice on Moodle.